Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Starter Sit Week 3. I'm your host, Andrew Erickson. I'm on Twitter at @AndrewErickson_, and I'm from Pro Football Focus here for you guys for the next hour or so. I'm going to talk some start sit questions. I'm going to talk about some of my starts and sits for the upcoming Week 3 action. We're going to go over some news items because we got a couple injuries to talk about. So I'll hit the news, I'll hit my starts and sits, and then I will start taking some questions. So hop in the chat, make sure you subscribe, and we're going to have a fun hour here. So again, I'm Andrew Erickson. I'm on Twitter from Pro Football Focus. So let's dive into some news and nuggets. Okay, Antonio Gibson was limited in practice on Wednesday. Now he's full practice on Thursday. Bodes well for him. Start him up, fire him up. Do not be concerned. Again, J.D. McKissic, the thing with McKissick's production last week was all related to the 2-minute drill. It's where he saw the majority of his touches. So unless Washington just happens to play in only 2-minute drill situations, then I think Antonio Gibson's going to be fine. He's still averaging 19 touches per game over the past 2 weeks. So continue to roll out Antonio Gibson as a fringe RB, low-end RB1, high-end RB2. No concerns there for Antonio Gibson. Tyrell Williams was placed on injured reserve. Quintez Cephas looks like the guy. He was the number 1 wide receiver for the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. Again, this is still an offense that's going through TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. But if you're desperate for a wide receiver play, maybe DFS, Quintez Cephas looks like a potential option there with Tyrell Williams now out of the fold for at least the foreseeable future. Amari Cooper has been limited at practice. I'm not too concerned about this. Again, he took some serious hits in that game against the Chargers. I think he's going to suit up. I think that he'll be okay. So no worries there. Odell Beckham. This is not the greatest news. Okay, they're asking if he's going to play, and he's like, "We'll see, and we'll find out." And that's not good for these Browns. It's not good for Baker Mayfield. Again, it's good for the running backs and tight ends. They get a boost if Odell Beckham does not suit up in this game. But we really need some more firepower for Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield's actually a guy to kind of tie in the starts and sits. Baker Mayfield is a sit for me this week. I have Baker Mayfield in a 2-quarterback league, and I just also happen to have Justin Fields in that same 2-quarterback league. So I'm going to be starting Justin Fields over Baker Mayfield this week because I like the matchup for Fields better. He's a rushing quarterback. Baker Mayfield is without Odell Beckham Jr. Do not like that matchup there. It's not ideal if Odell Beckham doesn't play. I would be very hesitant to play him, even if he is healthy. I think more in like DFS, I think he's probably a better option because if he's playing, you have to assume that he's going to get the football. So I don't hate him necessarily if he is playing and active, but I mean, all indications and news and kind of notes are saying that it doesn't really even seem like he's 100% going to even play. So have a potential backup plan. 49ers running backs. This is kind of big. Elijah Mitchell was first labeled week to week with a shoulder injury, which is really never really good. I think it was actually day to day was his actual label for Elijah Mitchell with the shoulder injury. And Trey Sermon looks like he's on a path to play. So if you have Trey Sermon, it looks like he could potentially be the starting running back. I would have a backup plan for Elijah Mitchell. Again, they are playing in prime time against the Green Bay Packers, so you're not going to have all of your options available to you. If you have a better option in the early slate of window of games, I would opt for that instead of waiting for Mitchell. Again, Mitchell was the touch leader, even with JaMychal Hasty operating last week, but obviously Trey Sermon got 1 touch and then got knocked out of the game with a concussion. So if it's 2-man backfield, I'm not super confident that Mitchell's going to suit up in this game. So I would have some alternative plans and potentially try to work in Trey Sermon there. Other ribs. News and notes. Darrell Henderson started with a DNP in week 1. Not ideal for him to be active for this upcoming game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sitting Darrell Henderson this week. I do not like the matchup. Talked about it on the Fantasy Pros football podcast about Darrell Henderson being a safe play, or basically not a safe play. It's a terrible matchup against the Bucs. We've seen a bunch of running backs play them and do absolutely nothing this season. So I'm definitely shying away from playing Darrell Henderson, and they're going to work in Sony Michel if he's banged up. Part of Darrell Henderson, part of why couldn't go all in investing in him this offseason was because he has always had a problem staying healthy. It hurt him his rookie year, his second year, last year, and he's shown that he has not been able to really play when he's banged up or not 100%. So he's not 100%. I don't think he's going to be 100% by Sunday. So I would shy away from Darrell Henderson, even if he is active. Could be more on a committee with Sony Michel as they try to keep him healthy. Don't try to overload him with a lot of other things there. Carson Wentz, probably last kind of news and nugget here. Carson Wentz, it looks like the Colts are preparing to play without him. So you don't feel great about starting any of these Colts wide receivers. You're still going to play Jonathan Taylor because it just puts more emphasis on him being a focal point of the offense. Does it lower his floor? Yes, of course it does, because they could score 0 points. They could do absolutely nothing on offense. So that's a big concern. But they are playing the Titans defense, who is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Still, I'm not rolling out Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal, Jack Doyle maybe in DFS because he's a cheap tight end and he got a lot of targets last week, so I like him. But besides that, you're going to be shying away from these Colts players. Naeem Hines is not even really an option. So it's really Jonathan Taylor as a low-end RB1 because he's going to be just get carries and touches, and the Titans defense is not good. So we should see that from him there. Okay, let's dive into some of the starts and sits that I have. But first, we want to talk about a live giveaway that we're doing, promo, this Sunday, September 26th during Kyle Yates' 12 p.m. kickoff live stream right here on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com. One lucky subscriber will receive an autographed Alvin Kamara New Orleans Saints jersey. How do you enter? It's simple. You got to subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube before the 12 p.m. Eastern time Sunday live stream. You can do that right now. You just got to click down. It's easy. You can subscribe. You ask a fantasy-related question in the YouTube chat during the show, and that's it. We'll announce the winner at the end of the stream, so make sure you stick around to claim your prize. Piece of cake. Get that Alvin Kamara jersey. Pristine auction. It's going to be awesome. You can what could you better? What could you ask for? What could you ask for more than an Alvin Kamara jersey? So again, it's easy. All you got to do is subscribe and tune in on 12 p.m. to Kyle Yates. So let's dive into some of my starts and sits that I have for this week. Hopefully I can cover some questions here that I've gotten so far in the chat. So number one, start Justin Fields. So I think that it's really important to know that, okay, Justin Fields is available on a lot of waiver wires. And if you need to start a quarterback this week, you can definitely pick him up. So the way that I look at the quarterback position, there's a lot of good quarterbacks with good matchups this week. So I don't think you necessarily need to have an overlying reliance on going with Justin Fields. So guys, I'm not going to start him over like Rodgers, Prescott, Brady, Herbert, Hurts, Allen, Wilson, Jackson, Mahomes, Kyler Murray, those guys. So the elite players, but more of the fringier guys, I think it's okay to start him over. So I'd start him over Kirk Cousins, start him over Matthew Stafford, start him over Ryan Tannehill, start him over Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, like any of those other players. I think you should feel comfortable starting Justin Fields over those guys because he has the rushing upside. Like that's all we're really looking for with the quarterback position. Again, the Browns also have not been that great on defense. They've led the third most fantasy points to quarterbacks over the past 2 weeks. Yes, he's been playing guys like Patrick Mahomes, but last week they played Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is no spring chicken, I guess would be the best way to put it. He looked good, and maybe that's because the Browns defense isn't good. So I think that you can go roll out Justin Fields as a low-end quarterback one this week. And if you are looking to pick him up on the waiver wire, then you should do it because if he plays any sense of good or if he plays any well type of game in this matchup against the Browns, like you're going to fire him up with so much confidence next week when they play the Detroit Lions. So I think it's a really easy win-win for Justin Fields. I actually have Daniel Jones ranked ahead of Justin Fields in my rankings. So if I had to decide between the two players, I would start Daniel Jones. But what is different about the approach is I'm not going to go to the waiver wire to pick up Daniel Jones instead of Justin Fields. Like you're picking up Justin Fields for the long-term approach as well, while also factoring in the matchup. So that's why I think that you should pick up Justin Fields if he's still available on your waiver wire. You start him over Daniel Jones in the case that you don't have them already both on your roster. So that's my move there with Justin Fields, starting him. And talk about Daniel Jones. Look, there's no better quarterback I think that you can, if you really need upside. Again, playing the Atlanta Falcons, they've allowed over 30 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks so far this season. Their defense is absolutely atrocious, guys. And I get people are going to say, oh no, Daniel Jones, like he's going to trick me again. Like this is a trap. No, I don't think that this is the case with Daniel Jones. I really think that, he's looked a lot better this year. He's played much better, per PFF, my employer. He is PFF's second highest graded quarterback through 2 weeks. Only Tom Brady has a higher PFF passing grade than Daniel Jones does. He's been playing really well, and he's played against really tough defenses. He played against the Denver Broncos and the Washington football team. So, that's why I was lower on Daniel Jones kind of at the beginning of the season. Being like, you can't draft this guy because he's going to suck during the first 2 weeks. But that matchup against Atlanta, like, okay, that's where things can get going potentially for a guy who is third in the NFL in rushing yards at the quarterback position. Like, we love rushing quarterbacks, but for some reason, we love rushing quarterbacks that aren't named Daniel Jones. Like, he doesn't get enough love for the rushing that he offers, just like some of these other guys, like a Jalen Hurts, like a Lamar Jackson, like a Kyler Murray, but he just doesn't get the love that those other guys do. So, yeah, I have no problem starting Daniel Jones. I want to play him in DFS. I'm going to play him in some of my leagues that I need a quarterback. So, playing him over Ryan Tannehill, I think that any of those fringier guys, back end QB1s, you can play Daniel Jones, and I think you can feel really good about playing him. Look, the thing with Daniel Jones is it's a different situation than it was last year. Like, when he's been bad, it's because he hasn't had weapons around him. He has all of his weapons. He has Barkley. He has Sterling Shepard. You look, last 12 games he's played with Saquon Barkley healthy, 23.3 fantasy points per game. Last 7 games played with a healthy a healthy Sterling Shepard, 21 fantasy points per game. Like, it's all there. And if you busts, think, okay, we followed the right process. Like, the process is telling us that Daniel Jones should be in a smash spot this week. So that's what you should do. You should play Daniel Jones, PFF's second highest graded quarterback. So if you're worried about, oh, he's not really good in life, well, he's been good in real life the last 2 weeks. So I have confidence in rolling out Daniel freaking Jones. Also like Kirk Cousins this week as a streamer. I still like Daniel Jones a little bit more, but Kirk Cousins has been really solid, and he's got the Seahawks. So good matchup for him. The Seahawks, per PFF, they predominantly run a cover 3 defense, and that's where Kirk Cousins has been really good. Against cover 3, Cousins has a 113.1 passer rating, 92.3% adjusted completion percentage, and 8.3 yards per attempt. So love Kirk Cousins in a shootout against Russell Wilson. The Vikings defense has not improved like we thought it might would, but it has not. So Kirk Cousins is going to have to lay it on the line with Jefferson, Thielen, KJ Osborne. He's breaking out. Love to see that. Sits. So I talked about Baker Mayfield. Going to sit Baker Mayfield. Again, he's not been good in fantasy, even though he ranks second in the NFL in yards per attempt, 10.9, 15.6 fantasy points per game, 24th, 14.3 expected fantasy points per game. So that's a metric you can find over on PFF.com, basically kind of considering where the quarterback is throwing the ball, how far they're throwing it downfield, are they throwing it into the end zones, kind of looking at how many points the player should have scored. So even, he's not underperforming versus expectation. Like, he's been bad per expectation, and it's kind of be expected. Like, he hasn't had a lot of his receivers. Not to say that he's a bad quarterback, but just not a great spot for him. Again, the Bears have also been better against defenses. They shut down Joe Burrow to an extent. Burrow wasn't elite last week, so I do not like Baker Mayfield. Joe Burrow is the other guy outside my top 20 in fantasy football rankings. Pittsburgh Steelers, no bueno. Just, I don't have a lot of confidence. Like, the Steelers, I know the Steelers secondary is kind of shaky, and I think that some of the receivers, like T. Higgins, I think he's fine to still play, but I don't think that we're going to have a massive game from Joe Burrow and company. Again, he's only been at 11.9 expected fantasy points per game, which ranks 28th in the league. They're not throwing the ball that much. They rank actually 3rd in run rate on early downs. So the intention is, hey, we're going to pound the rock with Joe Mixon. So I don't like Joe Burrow because they're just not really throwing that much. I think we're going to see them throw a little bit more as the schedule lightens up and they do some other things. And Joe Burrow kind of gets more acclimated back to being healthy. Matt Ryan is also another sit because what is going on with Matt Ryan? He has just been straight up bad. He has been turned into a check down king over the past 2 weeks. His average depth of target, second lowest in the NFL. The only quarterback that has a lower average depth of target is Andy Dalton. So he's not pushed the ball downfield, and that's hurting Ridley. It's hurting Kyle Pitts to an extent. And, we thought that Arthur Smith coming in would be, okay, we're going to get the play action going. We're going to get downfield, make big plays, and that just has not happened. Falcons quarterback, so Matt Ryan ranks 24th in play action rate, 23%. His PFF passing grade on those throws ranks 25th, 56.6. It's not been good. It's not good, Bob. Has not been good for Matt Ryan. Look, last year we saw Matt Ryan struggle immensely from fantasy without Julio Jones, and so far it's been more of the same. Like, he has not been able to be trusted without Julio Jones in the lineup. And yeah, I think you're going to sit him. If you're deciding between Matt Ryan or Justin Fields, Matt Ryan or Daniel Jones, starting Daniel Jones over Matt Ryan, starting Justin Fields over Matt Ryan. So if you have any Matt Ryan questions, I put him on the bench for one of these streaming guys, Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins. Going with Kirk Cousins. Running back, Saquon Barkley needs to be in your lineup. Again, you were probably starting the last 2 weeks. If you thought about getting off the wagon now, this is not the time. Like, you got to stick to your player that you took at the end of the first round or beginning of the second round, because this is a really good spot for him to bounce back. We saw his snaps increase dramatically, 48% to 84% in week 2. We saw his touches increase from 11 to 15. His routes run per dropback went up 38% to 74%. He flashed that big play upside with that 41-yard rush. So Barkley's looking much better, especially on a short week, to see his workload increase that substantially. Really exciting things to see. And now he's got 10 days off to rest. He gets the Atlanta Falcons. Guys, play guys against the Atlanta Falcons. It doesn't need to be hard. Fantasy football doesn't need to be hard. The Falcons are not good across the board. Start your players against them, and good things will happen, especially with the matchup. So Atlanta ranks 31st in rushing yards allowed before contact per attempt. So we should see some bigger holes open up. I know the Giants' offensive line is not great, but the Falcons' defensive line is also not great. They're opening up big lanes for guys to run through. And if Saquon Barkley gets a crease, boom, you got someone going to the house. We could see some real prestige versions of Saquon Barkley this weekend, and I'm very excited to watch. Tyson Williams, a guy you got off the waiver wire, picked with a super late pick. You're starting him this week. 2 weeks of football, Tyson Williams has been the number one running back for the Baltimore Ravens, and averaged nearly 15 touches per game, 50% snap share. So, no, he's not a bell cow per se, because the Ravens have always used multiple backs in their offense. He's not going to be, see a McCaffrey, Derrick Henry level workload. It's not going to happen. He's an undrafted guy. But as an RB2 solid, that's Tyson Williams. He needs to be in your lineup this week against the freaking Detroit Lions, who we saw give up 4 touchdowns to Aaron Jones. I know it was in the passing game, but Tyson Williams actually had a decent role in the passing game. So, he's 11% target share for the Ravens the last 2 weeks, and he's been pretty efficient. 3.7 yards after contact per attempt. Marked the ranks third in the NFL. So Tyson Williams is breaking tackles. He's making big plays in the running game. He's just missing out on goal line work. Latavius Murray has actually 2 rushing touchdowns inside the 5, so that's not ideal, but I think that from an efficiency standpoint, he's going to get it done. And to see him get involved in the passing game is really nice. And it sucks because we could have seen J.K. Dobbins in that role, potentially with a larger role in the passing game. So that would have been nice. But unfortunately, we saw a lot of him we lost him to injury. So yes, Tyson Williams, fire him up. Then look, Tampa Bay Buccaneers running backs are always tough to figure out who is the right guy. But for me, it's Leonard Fournette. I'm in on Leonard Fournette this week. It's so weird. He was a player that I was not high on entering the season. I was afraid. I thought it was Ronald Jones, but I was wrong. It was not. Ronald Jones was definitely not the answer. Giovanni Bernard, I thought, could have a role as a James White, but I mean, he's literally only playing on third downs, and that's it. And he just doesn't even get targeted on third downs that often. But Fournette has averaged 15 touches per game. He's been involved in the passing game on early downs. He has 9 catches on 11 targets, and he's PFF's 6th highest graded rusher through 2 weeks. He's looking good. He's looking spry. He's looking fresh. And I know he got hurt last year, so maybe that's why he hasn't been nearly as efficient, or he was nearly as efficient last year as Ronald Jones. So Fournette, again, super high over under in this game against the Rams. And I think the really thing to point out, so we can get at PFF, you look at light boxes. So how many guys are the Rams putting in the box to stop the run? Not many. The Rams, like a lot of teams, are kind of figuring out that, no, we want to stop the passing game, so we're just going to do light boxes, invite them to run the ball on us, and we'll just defend the pass. And when you're playing the Buccaneers, that's really your big concern. You want to defend all of these great pass catchers that are across the board, because it's really concerning based on all those players and how elite the Buccaneers passing game is. So against light boxes, 7 or less men in the box, Leonard Fournette is PFF's 2nd highest graded rusher, only behind Nick Chubb. He's been really efficient, and they've been willing to give him the ball when they're light front. So Brady's going to check and be like, hey, man, they have coverages tight over here. Just check it to Fournette, check it to a run play, pick up 6 yards. And Brady's smart. He's going to do that. He's not going to necessarily force the narrative no, I have to throw to pad my stats or whatever. I know he'd like to do that, but if the Rams are giving him easy looks for run game, then that's what they're going to do. And Fournette looks like the guy that's going to benefit the most from that. So start Leonard Fournette. Feel good about him. Got him as a RB2, honestly, this week. So start Fournette. Sit Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Talked about this hugely, very in-depth on the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. So make sure you check the FantasyPros podcast, which I guest on every week from Pro Football Focus. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you got to sit him this week. I'm sorry, there's just no good signs of him really taking a step forward or really improving. I mean, maybe he's banged up. I think that's one of the issues. Perhaps he's banged up. I know he had an ankle injury the preseason, which was kind of concerning. But let's see. Second, Clyde Edwards-Helaire so far this year ranks last in PFF rushing grade and 36th out of 40 qualifying running backs in terms of target rate per route run. So he's running a lot of routes, which is good. But Patrick Mahomes is not throwing in the ball whatsoever. He is looking for Kelsey. He's looking for Tyreek Hill. He's looking for McCole Hardman. He's not looking for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire is just not involved enough in this offense to have confidence in playing him. Yes, I get the matchup is there for him against the Chargers, but number one, he doesn't even have like the goal line role locked down. So we don't even know if he has the touchdown upside. Like Darrell Williams has been more involved with the goal line ever since week 15 of last season. And he's not been good against light boxes. So again, I talked about the Rams and how they have light boxes. The Chargers do the exact same thing. They really focus on trying to stop the passing game. They let teams run the football on them. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not been good against light boxes. Like he's struggled against when he's not even facing 8 men in the box because teams can't do that. Because teams have to go light in the box against Patrick Mahomes because they're gonna get ripped to shreds. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, unfortunately, has not been good running against light fronts. He's actually PFF's second worst graded rusher on those. So I just don't see a scenario where we see him pop off a huge game, see multiple touchdowns. And honestly, I think that unless you're starting with your RB2 and you literally have no other like starting running backs to play, I'm going to try to play a wide receiver in the flex over Edwards-Helaire this week. Darrell Henderson falls into, I know I hit on him on the beginning of the show, the beginning of the stream. He had a DNP to start the week, not good. Dealing with a rib cartilage injury, also not good. Darrell Henderson has just not been a player that's played through injuries. He's playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the toughest run defenses in the NFL. We've seen running backs play them, and they just don't perform well. Like Cordell Patterson's been the best running back, and you could hardly say he's actually a running back. He made a bunch of big plays. I don't see Darrell Henderson having that type of role. He's more of an afterthought in the passing game. They're going to use Sony Michel a little bit more, so I'm going to try to sit Henderson. That's not because Henderson's bad. Like Henderson's had a good year, but like there's just a lot of circumstances about his situation right now that just are kind of make me want to shy away. So I'm going to go away from Darrell Henderson this week. Receivers start Kenny Golladay, New York Giants. Bounce back game for Kenny G is happening this week, people. If you have Kenny Golladay, you need to start him this week. I'm sorry. Like, I get that he's been frustrating. I get that people have dropped him in some leagues. Like, you cannot. This is the Atlanta Falcons we're talking about. Again, that's why we're starting Daniel Jones. That's why we're starting Saquon Barkley. And it's why we're starting Kenny freaking Golladay. One of just 2 receivers that has at least 3 end zone targets this season and 0 receiving touchdowns in the end zone. Look, those things tend to regress. Like, you don't just see a bunch of end zone targets and never catch a touchdown. Like, it's going to happen for Kenny Golladay. And considering what we saw Mike Evans do to the Atlanta Falcons defense last week as a big-bodied contested catch receiver, sounds a lot like Kenny Golladay. Like, we're going to see success. The Atlanta Falcons has faced the most end zone targets this season and allowed the most end zone receptions to opposing wide receivers. So, get Kenny Golladay in your lineups. I know he's been frustrating the first 2 weeks, but the air yards were there last week. The target share was there last week. So big game is coming. And remember, guys, Kenny Golladay is a talented receiver. I get that donning the big blue jersey has shunned him to some people, but it was just a year ago that we were taking this guy in like the second round of fantasy drafts because of what he did with Matthew Stafford. And he was really good last year for the Lions when he was healthy. And I think he can be really good for the Giants when he's healthy, which he is. I know he's on the injury report, but if he is healthy, which he should be, it's a different injury. It's his hip injury. If he is healthy, then we should be really good about Kenny Golladay. All right, I do have a couple more starts and sits, but I know I'm getting tons of questions here. So I'm going to start answering some of these. Again, remember, like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to ask your own questions, I will try to get to as many as I can. Let's get started. Alan Wendell, James Robinson or KJ Osborne or Corey Davis, half-point PPR. I'm going to go with James Robinson there. I know Kyle Yates talked about James Robinson being someone that he wasn't super high on this week. Osborne is really a dart throw. I'm not so sure how his role will be in this offense. I like that. Kirk Cousins has leaned on him. I think if you're looking for upside, you need a shot. You need to score a ton of points. You're up against a juggernaut. Okay, go with Osborne. But Robinson, look, he's going to get more touches, more opportunities than KJ Osborne. That's a high-scoring game, Jaguars, Arizona Cardinals. And Robinson, look, he should be able to bust off a couple big runs. The Arizona Cardinals have allowed the highest explosive run rate this season. So I do think that we could see some opportunities for James Robinson. Brooks, start Tyson Williams or Damian Harris in half-point PPR. I'm going to go with Tyson Williams. All right, let's get back to the top of these questions. I'm all over the place. All right. Sal Hernandez, PPR, Henderson, or Mike Davis? Going to go with, I guess we're going to go with Mike Davis there. Look, I don't love Mike Davis as a play, but Henderson could just totally goose egg you. And Mike Davis at least should get usage, and it is a better matchup for him. So I'll go with Mike Davis. Start Robbie Anderson or Rondale Moore. I'll go with Rondale Moore. The guy has had an insane target rate per route run, ranks top 5 in the NFL. So when he's on the field, they're throwing him the ball, which has not been the case with Robbie Anderson, who has a 10% target share this year, which is the same as Jerry Jeudy and Michael Gallup. 2 guys that have not played since week 1. Flex, Joshua Borgs. Flex, start Pittman, Gaskin, Standard League. I'm going Gaskin. J, full PPR, pick 2, Drake, Hunt, and Fuller. J and Y, full PPR, pick 2, Drake, Hunt, and Fuller. I'm going to go with Drake and Hunt in both cases. I think that Josh Jacobs is still kind of banged up, and I don't know if he's going to play. Again, maybe my mind changes a little bit. Maybe I lean toward. I have literally no idea what Fuller's role is going to be. Again, I think that when you're evaluating your team, you're looking for receiver versus running back. It really becomes a high upside floor play. Like, I think Drake has a much safer floor. Like, we've seen him catch 5 balls in the last 2 weeks. Fuller could literally do nothing. He could play like 60% of the snaps and not see a single target, or he could, have a 2 touchdown game. So higher range of outcomes. I think Hunt is the most steady of those guys. So if you want the upside, shoot for Fuller. If you want something most secure, I would go with Drake. If Jacobs is out, though, I would definitely go with Drake. David Frizna, should I trade for Debo or is production unsustainable? This is a great question, David Frizina. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I wanted to talk about this. So yeah, Debo is definitely someone you want to trade away. Like, there is no way that he's going to keep up what his production has been doing. He has a 36% target share over the last 2 weeks. So I don't think that he should continue that. I mean, George Kittle's not going to also keep up such a low target share for the majority of the season. Like, it's going to increase. So we already saw Debo's, he had a 40+% target share in week 1. We saw it decrease in week 2. It's going to balance out. Like, he's still going to be over 20%, which is good, as long as IU kind of stays like out involvement of the offense. So I think that that's fine, but I don't know if it's going to keep up. So yeah, I would try to trade away Debo now. If you can get a huge profit, get an alpha wide receiver that is like locked and loaded, maybe someone that's not been like an AJ Brown, I think is a really good option to go trade for. Someone that's kind of more established. I mean, also Debo like gets banged up a lot, and his problem has always been just staying healthy. So I would not mind selling high on him and even buying low on George Kittle. Like, George Kittle's gonna have a massive game this week against the Packers. Packers are terrible against tight ends, and Kittle saw his routes run increase last week, so we're gonna see better production from George Kittle. Van Buren boys, Standard League, CEH or Damian Harris? Damian Harris. John Harmon, half point PPR, Saquon or Sterling Shepard? I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. Tygal O'Kane, Cooks a safe play tonight? Yes. Cooks is 100% safe play tonight. You want to start Brandon Cooks. He saw a 55% target share with Davis Mills under center. Like, the guy nobody else saw more than 2 targets, and Brandon Cooks saw 10 targets with Davis Mills under center. He's going to get the ball. Like, Brandon Cooks can catch 5 out of 20 targets, but he's still going to get opportunities. He's still going to make plays. He's a good player. So yes, I think you should continue to play Cooks. I think he is a safe option. Again, remember, guys, if you want to ask your questions, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to ask. Lowman26, what's up, Lowman? DJ Moore or Laviska Shenault? Going to go with DJ Moore. JFed 219, Prescott or Cousins this week? Standard 6-point quarterback touchdown. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. Friend of the show, Herbert or Jones? Daniel Jones? I'm going to go with Justin Herbert there. Playing the Chiefs, I mean, there should be tons of scoring in that game. T-Square, Marquise Brown, Elijah Mitchell, or Chase Claypool, full point PPR. I'm going to go with Marquise Brown. Ride the wave. Ride the wave that it is Marquise Brown against the Detroit Lions. Chris Freeze, Joe Mixon versus Steelers, or Tyson Williams versus Lions? Going with Joe Mixon. Look, yes, the matchup's not great, but he's getting way more work, way more touches, and he's a talented player. He's PFF's 3rd highest graded rusher this season. He's good. So do not falter on Joe Mixon. Yeah, maybe he doesn't have a super high ceiling against a tough matchup, but his role is super secure. So I love Joe Mixon. Yeah, keep playing him. Big Jim Jean. Should I play Njoku over Hunter Henry at tight end in PPR? No. I would still continue to play Hunter Henry. He's featured in the offense. I think if you want to aim a little bit, I think maybe if we get news that all these Browns players are out, then I would lean towards Njoku. Jake Bush, Chase, Mooney, Rondell Moore. I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney's in a really good spot this week. I like him a lot. I think he has a ton of upside. We saw Justin Fields. Justin Fields' average depth of target is 1st in the NFL. In his limited playing time that he's had in the couple games that they've played. Andy Dalton's is last. So just the fact that he is now a quarterback that's going to push the ball down the field under center is just a boon to Mooney's fantasy stock. So yeah, I like Darnell Mooney a lot this week. I would play Darnell Mooney. Trone Force, Brandon Cooks or Marvin Jones, full point PPR. I'm going to go with Cooks. El Bobo, Singletary, Gainwell, or Carter. Go with Devin Singletary. He's looked pretty good the first 2 weeks, and they're using the running. He's involved. Like, he's kind of like He's kind of like how we wish CEH would be playing in like a limited role. But yeah, Devin Singletary is kind of like a rich man's CEH at this point, unfortunately, the way that's kind of shaping out. Mike Williams, Robert Woods, or Claypool. Man, this one's close between Mike Williams and Robert Woods. I think both are really strong plays, but Mike Williams may be asserting himself as like the alpha wide receiver on the Los Angeles Chargers. As weird as that sounds, especially with Keenan Allen there, but we talked about in the offseason how Mike Williams was going to play this new role, this X receiver role. He was going to be the guy. And that's how it's been. He's led the team in target share the last 2 weeks. So why would it change? It's a new offense. This isn't necessarily the Keenan Allen show. It's been the Mike Williams show the last 2 weeks. So yeah, and Robert Woods has taken a major back seat to Cooper Kupp. Not to say Robert Woods can't get involved, but I'm going with Mike Williams. I'm going to go with Mike Williams there. Ricardo Mena, standard flex, start Sutton, Woods, or Shepard. I'm going Sutton. Sutton is just alpha times bazillion. And he didn't score any touchdowns last week. He also had 250 air yards. So he's playing the Jets. Big games are coming for Courtland Sutton. Robbie Anderson or Rondale Moore. George Zane. I'm going to go with Rondale Moore. Jeremy Lyles. Should I start Hawkinson or Brandon Cooks? I mean, that's interesting. I'm probably going to go Hawkinson there. I usually don't like to start tight ends over wide receivers, but Hawkinson, like Cooks, is so involved in the position that, again, I guess I will lean towards Hawkinson because I know that he probably has a better quarterback at this point. They're both PPR machines, so I'll go with Hawkinson there. Terry McLaurin, a start against Buffalo, yes. Eli Merton. Rico, Cordell Patterson, or Ingram, half-point PPR. I'm going Cordero Patterson. I'm not starting Mark Ingram. I just can't do it. The Carolina defense is nasty, so I would not start Mark Ingram. I actually took the Mark Ingram under on his rushing prop, so do not start Mark Ingram. Ricardo, Daniel Jones over Dak. No, I would start Dak. Matthew Cooks, start Kittle PPR. Yes, start Kittle. Pavel Regis, Dak or Hurts. Ooh, this one is close. I think I got Hurts. Yeah, I got Hurts by a hair, so we'll go with Jalen Hurts there. Should I let's see, D-V, 0-2 start, pick up Carolina D, drop 49ers D, 100%. Victor Martinez, should I trade Pittman for Mooney? 100%. Nathan Grace, Jonnu or Cook? I have Eckler as well. That one's close too. I guess it doesn't really matter that you have Eckler. I'll go Cook there though. Again, if you're stacking this Chargers team, I think that gives you better chances of one of those guys hitting, one of them scoring. So yeah, let's go with Cook. Giuliano, Texiera, Las Vegas defense, or Colts? I'll go with Las Vegas. The Titans' offense is going to be much better than the Miami offense. So let's go with the Las Vegas defense. B-Rob, I'm struggling. I'm running back because I'm starting James Robinson, Chase Edmonds with Tony Pollard on the bench. Any recommendations? What do I do? I would still play Chase Edmonds and feel free to flex in Tony Pollard over James Robinson. Again, I'll still start James Robinson. Like, I think Tony Pollard, you really want to see this week if, like, it doesn't even matter what his production is. If he's getting touches again, if he gets double-digit touches again, then I think you can feel great about, oh man, like, I could start Tony Pollard probably every week now because he is seeing 10-plus touches. Like, that's all you really need. Like, 10 touches for Tony Pollard is basically the same thing as 15 touches for James Robinson. So, yeah, I would go roll out James Robinson again. I don't think the matchup's terrible. And just hope that Pollard gets touches. It doesn't matter what he does production-wise. Who cares? Because you know that eventually he's going to put up efficient numbers. So don't worry necessarily about the final stat line, but look about how he is used in that offense. Kyle Falika, are we rolling with Amari Cooper on Monday night hurt? I think he's fine. Yeah, roll with him. And if not, you make sure you pick up Cedric Wilson. Maria Rojas, Latavius Murray, or James White? James White. James White has been really involved in the passing game. He's one of the highest target rates at the running back position. He's just he's more featured player. He's splitting time with Damien Harris, but he's more featured in the offense. Sir Blue, do I play Sam Darnold tonight or Justin Fields? Justin Fields, 1,000%. Sir Blue, also appreciate you coming back for the live stream and contributing. Love you for that. All right. Thank you again for being part of Fantasy Pros with the subscribers like you. We really appreciate that. So Sir Blue, Justin Fields will bring you to victory. Very excited about that. Kevin Lee, starter sit, Darrell Henderson or Tony Pollard? That one's tough. I guess I'll go with Tony Pollard. GC Vids, Leo Fournette or Miles Sanders? Fournette. Nah, I got to do Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders still the guy. I like Fournette this week, but not more than Miles Sanders. Ziggy, Zach Pascal, Tim Patrick, or Jacoby Myers, PPR for flex. Let's go with Jacoby Myers. Roberto Ferreira, start Godwin versus the Rams. Yes. Kyle Barrett, Henderson, or Pollard? This one's interesting. Yeah, I go with Pollard. Daryl Henderson, I don't know what his upside is. Like, I think that he kind of has like a floor like Pollard maybe. So yeah, I'd go with Pollard. Nathan Dufort, Matt Ryan, or Teddy Bridgewater, full point PPR. I'm going to go Teddy. N-B, hi Andrew. What's up? Start tight end Gronk or Waller. I'm starting Darren Waller. You got to okay. If you have Gronk and Waller, trade Gronk. Like, do what you can to trade Gronk. Find whoever doesn't have a good tight end and just offer them for like their best running back or best tight end or second best running back or wide receiver. Mike Schrock, David Montgomery, Juju, or Galladay. Full point PPR. Galladay. He's going to have a day against the Atlanta Falcons. McKay, Richardson, half point PPR flex, OBJ, Pittman, or Patterson. I'm going to OBJ. If OBJ suits up, then I play him. And if not, play Patterson. David Arola, would you consider starting Rondell Moore over Damian Harris at your flex? No, I would start Damian Harris. Bruin, backhand, Ayuk or Rondell Moore rest of season. Man, it's really hard to just back Ayuk as a guy because we just don't know what his. I mean, I think that he's super talented, but Rondell Moore is also really talented too, and he's already starting to emerge. So if I can only keep one on my roster right now, it's going to be Rondell Moore. So yeah, I guess I'll keep Rondell Moore. I hate to be kind of like so in the moment, but that's kind of how we have to value these players. And right now, Rondell Moore has more value than Ayuk does, unfortunately. And you don't want to necessarily like wait on a guy that we were hoping would have a big year when Rondell Moore is like it missed having a big season. Like you don't want to miss out. Like the last thing you want to do is like, ignore the Justin Jefferson from last year. It's like, dude, this guy's breaking out all over the place. Like stop waiting on this other guy to like meet expectations. Like chase the wave. Like you got to ride the wave. Junior, PPR flex, Marvin Jones or Kareem Hunt. I'll go with Marvin Jones there, PPR. Gerardo, Menzoa, Pollard, or Singletary. I'll go with Pollard. Grim Stars, Debo, Devontae Smith, or Leonard Fournette. Debo. Debo is just right. I mean, like I talked about trading high Debo, but also at the same time, he is healthy right now and he has an insane target share right now. So you got to continue to play him like your life depends on it. My squad, I like that name. Should I drop Pitts D for Carolina? No. I mean, Pittsburgh's playing the Bengals, so I wouldn't drop them. I guess Carolina's been really good, have really good defense, but I think Pittsburgh's is still really good too. I mean, TJ Watt is a monster. He's just a freaking beast. So, I would keep Pittsburgh. John K, full point PPR, Edmonds or Sanders. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. Roberto Ferrara, Chris Godwin or Deontay Johnson. Chris Godwin. Justin Guzman, Eckler, Zeke, Carson start 2 this week. Which is the best combo? Eckler and Carson, I think. I think it's Eckler. Nah, I will go Eckler and Zeke. Jacoby McKay, T. Higgins, or Jamar Chase, half point PPR. Going with T. Higgins. Yosa Rashard, DJ Moore, or Kenny Galladay. Going to go with DJ Moore. High Society, 1995. Tannehill or Darnold. I'll go with Tannehill. Was offered Zeke for Thielen and Mike Williams. Is that a good trade? No. I would rather have Zeke. I mean, I like Mike Williams a lot, but I think Adam Thielen is kind of. I'm concerned that his touchdowns are going to go down. Like he's already caught 2 touchdowns this year. He was already due for touchdown regression. It's going to happen eventually. So I'm out on that for now. Start Deontay. If Deontay's healthy, then I'm starting him. But right now it doesn't look like that's going to potentially be kind of apparent. I doubt that he plays. So have a backup plan. Zeke or Pollard or both. I mean, I want to start Zeke. If I only start one of them, I'm starting Zeke. But I think Pollard's like a decent flex play. I mean, he's talented. They show that they want to get him involved. So George Hassan, Cousins or Tannehill. I'll go with Kirk Cousins. Should I start Leonard Fournette, Elijah Mitchell, or Myles Gaskin? I'll go with Myles Gaskin. Dominic D'Amato, pick 2 football PPR. Mike Davis, Fournette, Jamal Williams, McKissick, Cordero, Hines. I'm going to go with Mike Davis and Leonard Fournette. Trade Boyd for Shepard. Yeah, I think that's fine. Shepard has been a freaking monster, and he has less competition for targets. So, yeah, I'd go with Sterling Shepard. Courtland Hughes, trade Kyler for Lamar now or keep Kyler? I think you got to keep Kyler. Kyler right now is basically picking up where he left off last year when he scored more fantasy points than anybody else ever in the history of the NFL through the first 10 weeks of the season. So I think that it's insanity that what he's actually doing. So I would just continue to just be happy you have Kyler because unless he gets hurt, he's probably not going to stop scoring like points at an absolute insane clip. Just absolute madness. Courtland Hughes, trade Kyler for Lamar now. Oh, Same question, sorry. Roderick Jones, Daniel Jones or Justin Fields, full point PPR. I'm going to start Daniel Jones. So again, Roderick Jones. So if this is a question about like who do I pick up off the waiver wire, pick up Justin Fields and start him. That's what I want to have on my roster long term. But if you have them both on your roster, I would start Daniel Jones. David Ramirez, start Hunt or Gordon. I would start Kareem Hunt. Let me just check the ranks. No, I would not. I would start Melvin Gordon. I'm sorry, Dave Ramirez. I lied to you. Start Melvin Gordon. Okay. And again, also as a quick reminder, live stream giveaway on Sunday. This Sunday coming up, we'll be doing a live giveaway September 26th during Kyle Yates' 12 p.m. kickoff live stream right here on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction. One lucky subscriber will receive an autographed Alvin Kamara New Orleans Saints jersey. How do you enter? It's simple. Subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube before the 12 p.m. Eastern Sunday live stream. Ask a fantasy-related question in the YouTube chat during the show. That's it. We'll announce a winner at the end of the stream, so make sure you stick around to claim your prize. Piece of cake. Get in there. Get that Alvin Kamara signed jersey. Rep it when he plays against my New England Patriots on Sunday. We will see who emerges victorious. Hopefully they can stop him. Hopefully they can press him and hold him down, but Alvin Kamara is a monster. So Bill Belichick is scheming. We'll see how it goes. Okay, let's get back to these questions. Darwin Mendez. Who should I start at flex? Claypool, KJ Osborne, Robbie Anderson, half point PPR. Don't chase Claypool. Fanta, don't you want to? Trade Antonio Brown and Sutton for Damian Harris. Yeah, if I need a running back, yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with going after that. I like those receivers. Antonio Brown's going to be like up and down all year. He's also on the COVID list. So I don't even know if he's playing this week. So yeah, I think Sutton is a really good player, but Damian Harris is also a very good player. He's, top 4 in the NFL in touches through 2 weeks. So they're feeding him. He's a featured guy. So yeah, I like that trade. Judy, Jodra, flex position, full point PPR, Michael Pittman, Elijah Mitchell, Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore, probably. Pittman, again, the quarterback question is mark. And Elijah Mitchell hit at the top of the show. Very questionable for playing this week. I am doubtful he's going to play, so have a backup plan. Don't necessarily expect to have Elijah Mitchell ready for your lineup. Darren Wynn, Dak or Stafford? I'm going to go with Dak. Kevin Williams, Pollard, Waddle, or Goddard in the flex. Full. That's wild. I know that Zach Ertz is dealing with some injury or whatever or on the COVID list, so and there's no Zach Ertz. Play Goddard. Waddle as a backup quarterback. Don't like that. Go with Tony Pollard. Kyler Cabrera, Pollard or Drake? Drake, I'm just going to go with Kenyon Drake in both scenarios for the most part. I have them actually ranked back to back. So if Josh Jacobs doesn't play, then start Drake. If Josh Jacobs does play, then you want to start Tony Pollard. Derek Carr or Dak Prescott? I'm going to go with Dak. PA 18. Oh, that's from Heather Mendez. PA 18 DIN. Myles Gaskin or CH. Myles Gaskin. Afro 1234. Full point PPR. Javonte or Tim Patrick. Going to go with Javonte. Citizens Jack, full point PPR, Jonathan Taylor or Antonio Gibson. Jonathan Taylor. Let me just make sure I'm right. Yes, Jonathan Taylor. Oscar Soto, Amari Cooper or Terry McLaurin for flex. Cooper. Pendito Jr., Marquise Brown or DJ Moore at the flex. I'm going to go with DJ Moore. Swift left toe. Man, I love these names. Myles Gaskin or Corey Davis at flex. Myles Gaskin. Sit Corey Davis this week. We don't like that. Corey Davis, he was a sit. He is a sit for me this week overall. He has a 17% target share, which is behind Braxton Berrios and Elijah Moore. So the preseason lied to us. Corey Davis was getting target after target after target. He lied to us. So I would go with the other option there, Myles Gaskin. Samuel Briones, Higgins or Debo. That one's close because I like them both. I like the matchup a little bit more with Debo. Again, I don't really care that they're playing the Packers. Jair Alexander doesn't. He's not going to shadow Debo, who just gets like half his targets behind the line of scrimmage anyway. So I'll go with Debo there. Big Bad Bosco, Devontae Smith, Robert Woods, Courtland Sutton, Allen Robinson, standard pick 2. Standard. I think that's key. Thank you for putting in the scoring for me because that helps. Courtland Sutton and Allen Robinson. Easy. Even Ivan T, pick 1, flex, half point PPR, Javonte, Mitchell, Antonio Brown. I'm going to go with Javonte. Javonte, if AB doesn't play. If AB plays, I would play Antonio Brown. Actually, nah, I'm going Javonte either way. ILK visual, is Ronald Jones droppable? No, because we don't know what Bruce Arians is going to do. Like, Bruce Arians could literally be like, yo, you're going to get 20 touches a game. If you feel like you literally don't know, like, how to start him or how to play him, then yeah, make him somebody else's problem. Like, I don't think he should be dropped because he does have value. He gets touches. He plays on a really high-powered offense, but as we've seen, just because you're on a high-powered offense doesn't necessarily mean you're going to produce. So I know Bernard got dropped in a lot of leagues, but he's still handcuffed. Like if Fournette gets hurt, like Ronald Jones will be the guy, and they can't give it to anybody else, hopefully. So I would keep Ronald Jones. Ernesto Bracamontes. Hopefully I didn't bomb that. Julio Jones. Julio Jones or Tyson Williams as a flex 10-team standard. Yeah, I'm going Tyson. Man, Julio just was not great in the last week, even though he was very, very, very he got a lot of targets last. He just wasn't that great with the opportunities. So, okay, I'm going to go back to my start sits. Reminder, guys, if you have start sits for questions for tonight's Thursday night game, Kyle Yates just dropped a full video breakdown of the players you need to have in your lineup and those you need to leave out. The link is pinned in the live stream chat, or you can find it on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. So, yeah, all your Thursday night games and players are in that video for Kyle Yates. I know he's starting Brandon Cooks. I know I told him to make sure you put Brandon Cooks in that video. So I like Brandon Cooks this week or this Thursday night. Just getting back to the rest of my starts and sits. Start Courtland Sutton. Actually got a question about him. That's interesting. Oh man, PPR Courtland Sutton, Kenny Galladay. Kyle, you're absolutely killing me here. Kyle Galantine. Two guys I absolutely love this week. I will go with Courtland Sutton. He has done a little bit more. I think he's a better player anyway, maybe. You can't go wrong, but I'll go with Courtland Sutton. 250 air yards last week. That's just monster production. So I'll go with him. Nas Burglar, half-point PPR flex, Cordero, or Laviska. Look, Laviska got 7 targets last week. They have to throw a ton, and I think Laviska's good. So I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault there. Let's see. Talked about Corey Davis being a sit. Okay, Robbie Anderson. So he's another guy that's a sit for me. Okay, wide receivers need targets to be productive. Sam Darnold has not been targeting Robbie Anderson whatsoever. Anderson only has a 10% target share through 2 weeks. I get the matchup's good against the Houston Texans, but I mean, he's just not prioritizing the offense. It's Christian McCaffrey, it's DJ Moore, and then they've been getting a bunch of other guys involved. Like Terrace Marshall gets 6 targets here. Brandon Zylster, something like that. He got 6 targets last week. Like they're just involving too many mouths, honestly, in an offense that is not necessarily needs to like put the pedal to the metal. They're playing the Texans. Like they could run up the score, or they could get a lead and just kind of give the ball to McCaffrey, feed Chuba Hubbard a little bit. So yeah, I don't think this is really. I mean, Robbie Anderson really has to like basically catch a deep touchdown like he did in week 1. Like the targets have just not been there for him because he's in a different role than he was last year. Last year's Robbie Anderson is not the same guy that you now have on your roster. It's a different player, or not different player, but he's being used differently. So I would shy away from Robbie Anderson. Let's see. UNCW Nelson, half-point PPR, Chase Edmonds or Tyson Williams. I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds there. I think Chase Edmonds is just super explosive. He is in a very similar spot, like matchup-wise, to Tyson Williams. Jaguars defense cannot stop anybody, not afraid of them whatsoever. So I like Chase Edmonds a lot. James Conner is just his dust. Like he's not doing much with the opportunities he's getting. If anything, we'll see Chase Edmonds' role grow in this offense as the season progresses. So other starts and sits for me. So I have a kind of like a buyer beware. Again, you can check out my full article over on pff.com. I have a start and sit 'em article, which you can get with a PFF subscription. Start and sit. I put buyer beware. I do a buyer beware every single week. He's not a guy I'm like, oh, you got to sit him automatically, but it's like, hey, temper expectations of this player. If you have a better alternative, maybe more upside option, maybe you go with them. So I have Jamar Chase basically because Jamar Chase is not the alpha. At least he hasn't been the alpha in the offense for the first 2 weeks. T. Higgins has 28% target share. Tyler Boyd has 22%. Jamar Chase is at 19%. Like Jamar Chase has been getting it done with the big plays and the touchdowns, which yes, credit to him. Like that's part of his game. But eventually, like you just don't happen to catch the long touchdown 1 week, and then you don't have anything. Like you just don't you bust that week. So I feel like this game kind of leads that a little bit with Chase, especially because last week he really didn't get involved until T. Higgins left the game. T. Higgins missed one play, and it was the same play that Jamar Chase caught the long touchdown on. So concerns about him against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know their secondary is not great, but if Joe Burrow's running for his life behind getting rushed by the Pittsburgh line, I'm just not optimistic that they're going to be able to connect on a deep throw. Kind of boomer bust wide receiver 3 for me. Okay. David Barrantios, OBJ, Waddle, or Myers. I'm going to go with OBJ. OBJ's playing him. I want to play him. Like, they wouldn't put him out there if he was not, like, going to be featured in the offense. And if you look at the way that their offense is set up, like, they don't have anyone else to throw the ball to. So I expect Baker Mayfield to, like, lock in on Odell Beckham if he's playing. Andrew Bradstreet, full-point PPR. Elliott, Montgomery, Fournette, pick 2. Elliott and Montgomery. Flavo Gross, Carolina or Washington. Carolina. Tim Caulfield, half PPR, need 2. Devontae, Robert Woods, Marquise Brown, Robert Woods, Marquise Brown. Actually, no, I'll go Devontae and Robert Woods. Yes, Devontae and Robert Woods. Tyronian, pick 1. Pick one, start Corey Davis, Tim Patrick, Chase Sermon, or Cordero Patterson. If Chase Sermon is the running back, if we get more news, I'm going to probably start him. I think he's probably going to be the starting running back, so I will go with him. Manny Torres, do I start Juju Smith-Schuster or Cordero Patterson? Juju. Wolf Meist, Higbee or Singletary, full point PPR, tight end premium. Higbee. Matis, Slowback, Johnny Smith, Mac Williams, or Dawson Knox. Johnny Smith. Jack Bennett, drop DJ Chark for Quintez Cephas? No. David Lopez. Would you trade Cole Beasley and Kyle Pitts for Mike Evans? Full point PPR. Depends on what my tight end is. It really depends on my tight end, David. I would not want to trade Kyle Pitts without a great alternative at tight end. Like, it's so crucial to have a tight end that's like not necessarily elite, but has elite upside, which Kyle Pitts has. So, yeah, it just depends on what the other tight end is. If you feel like if you have like a Hawkinson, you have someone else that you really like, then sure, do it. But if you don't, then I would rather keep the tight end. Stacey Rodriguez, Gibson, or Drake. Standard. Going to go with Gibson. Phil, Mike, Fournette, Cooks, or Robbie. Half point PPR. Going to go with Cooks. S guards 99. Mike Williams or Brandon Cooks. Mike Williams. Mitch T. Full point PPR. Gaskin or Tyson Williams. I'm going to go with Tyson. Ooh, wait, it's close. Let me check the ranks. Because I know when I have guys back to back, I'm just like, oh, like I don't want to say the wrong thing. And then they check the rankings, and it's different. And then I'm a clown. I'm a fraud. Don't want that to happen. Let me see. Let's see. Gaskin or Tyson Williams. Of course, they're next to. Okay, it's Tyson Williams. That's what I thought. Tyson. Joey Diablo Gaming. Love that name. Pick 2, Gaskin, James Robinson, Melvin Gordon, Cordero Patterson. I'm going to go with Gaskin and James Robinson. Yes, Gaskin, James Robinson for me. Gerardo Manzano, Henry Ruggs or Chris Godwin, PPR. Chris Godwin, 1,000%. Like, I've seen a couple Chris Godwin questions in here. Guys, play Chris Godwin. Like, I get the Rams defense is good, but Chris Godwin is just so featured in this offense. They can't cover all these receivers. Someone's going to get matchups. I know that Ramsey plays in the slot sometimes, but I don't think we're going to see Ramsey shadow anybody. Remember, like, the Bucs receivers get paid too. Like, they got to make plays, and I think that they'll make some plays against this Rams defense. Ryan Sprinkle, Jonathan Taylor, or David Montgomery. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. BH Superman, Standard Flex, Edmonds or Marvin Jones. I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds. Awesome. I finally got through all the questions. I finally caught up, and it only took me 52 minutes into the live stream to be live. Absolutely love it. Latavius or Tyson. Tyson Williams. Tyson Williams is the starter. Like, he is the guy that you should favor. I think Latavius is an interesting flex guy, but I still want to start Tyson. Tyson, Higgins, or OBJ in the flex. Higgins. Give Higgins some love. 28% target share. Love that. Devontae Smith or Brandon Cooks. Ooh, this one's close too. I know that I got them like neck and neck. Both high target shares. Let's see. I got Cooks. Give me Cooks, baby. Brandon Cooks. Fruit Punch 64 sounds like a Nintendo 64 game. Fields or Tannehill, second quarterback in Superflex. Yes. Yes, I'm sorry, that's not an answer. Justin Fields. That's who I would start. Justin Fields. Yeah. I'm starting Justin Fields in the Superflex League this week too. I'm pretty excited about it. Half point PPR from Justin Denson, Gaskin or Henderson. I'm going to go with Gaskin here. Yeah, I'm not super high on Henderson. Injury concerns. So shying away from him in most cases. Tim Sanders, Robert Woods or Devonta Smith, of course. Go Robert Woods. It's a good spot for him against Tampa Bay. So I'll go with him. Beer League Golf, Rondale Moore or Chase Claypool. Go with Chase Claypool, even though Ben Roethlisberger's arm is falling off. It's okay. Ian Powell, Najee, Amari Cooper for Terry Cooper Cup. Yeah, I think you do that. Like, Cooper Cup is like a buy high guy. Like, again, we always talk about like buy low, sell high. I think Cooper Cup is like a buy high. Like, we could be like seeing him be like this year's version of like last year's Devontae Adams or the year before that Michael Thomas, where this dude just gets targeted like an insane rate, just catches a bunch of touchdowns just because he's so focused on the offense. And so much of it's schematic with Cooper Cup, and you have the established chemistry with Stafford. So yeah, I want to get my hands on Cup, and I think he still has like the name brand is like, oh, like he's a safe wide receiver. He just had a couple good games. Like, I should get out on him. It's like, no, like I think he's for real. Like, kind of the opposite of Debo, where Debo, he's more of a sell high, where Cooper Cup, like, he's already done it for 2 weeks in a row. He's hit a 37% target share for 2 weeks in a row. So, like, you know, what is changing in this offense, or what could change this offense that could potentially make that go away besides just general variance? And if it gets like cut in half, it's still like really, really high, like above 20%. So Cooper Kupp, yeah, I think, yeah, I want to get on my team. So I think that's a fair trade to make. And you're getting McLaurin, who's also a stud, and Cooper's already banged up. So I guess like that's the reason to like look to get away from Amari Cooper, even though I think that he'll be fine. Patrick Kennedy, full point PPR flex, Chase Edmonds or Juju. Gonna go with full point PPR. I'll go with Juju. Adam Length, flex. Rondell Moore, Robbie Anderson, Pollard, full point PPR. I'll go with Rondell Moore. Sal Henderson, Sal Hernandez. Apologize. Cleveland or New Orleans DST. I'm gonna go with the New Orleans DST. Actually, wait a minute. New Orleans. Yeah, I'll go. New Orleans playing the Patriots. Cleveland is playing the Browns, or Cleveland's playing the Bears. Both against rookie quarterbacks. Yeah, I'll go with New Orleans. I think New Orleans has just a better regular defense. Danny O'Reilly. Hey, Andrew. What's up, man? Or her. Danny with an I. Half on PPR. Should I trade Dallas, Goddard, and Corey Davis for Kittle? Yes. Whew, that is a great trade. Everybody follow Danny's lead here. Go trade Dallas, Goddard, and Corey Davis for Kittle. Everybody do that. I think it's a great strategy. Good on you. Isaiah Maramontes. Kamara for Mixon and Cooper. Full point PPR. Yeah, I think that's a good trade. I don't like, I think I might keep, yeah. No, I mean, if you like really want Cooper, because I think Kamara and Mixon are probably closer than people would realize. Mixon's got a great schedule coming up, and yeah, I'll go with that. I like that trade. I just like Mixon a lot. I think Mixon is like my favorite trade for candidate. All right, last question, guys. Adam Afifi, Stafford or Fields, 4-point passing touchdowns. Of course, this is it. This is where I have them back to back, of course. So I will go Stafford in this case. Or wait, will I? Let me check the ranks real quick. I got to be sure I'm on this. Nope, it is Justin Fields. So go with Justin Fields, play the rookie. Absolutely love it. Again, thank you all guys for tuning in to the live stream. I appreciate everybody that asked questions. As a reminder, Sunday live, Kyle Yates doing a live giveaway September 26th. 12 p.m. kickoff with Kyle Yates right here on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com. One lucky subscriber will receive an autographed Alvin Kamara New Orleans Saints jersey. How do you enter? It's simple. Subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel before 12 p.m. Eastern Sunday live stream. Ask a fantasy-related question in the YouTube chat during the show. That's it. We'll announce a winner at the end of the stream, so make sure you stick around to claim your prize. As always, I am Andrew Erickson. I'm on Twitter at @AndrewErickson_ from Pro Football Focus. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Go check out my stuff over at pff.com. And good luck to everybody this week. Again, I'm always happy to answer questions. So if you have a question, always feel free to reach out on Twitter or other means. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Andrew Erickson _. It's all over the place. So again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we'll be back same time next week to answer more of your questions.